So I heard through the grapevine that Gilberto isn't doing so well and will only do compas today on a snap count. He's limited. He thinks he's that important. But that's okay, because fret not. We have many compas to fill in, like yours truly, your boy, Dan and Dago. But I guess that's what happens when the sports Grinch's heart grows 2 sizes bigger. Because we all heard him last week, right? We heard that. He said he misses your boy, Dan and Dago. Look at the sports Grinch getting warm inside his cavity. That's what's happening. But don't worry. We have a jam-packed episode of Compas on the Beat with many, many big-time guests. We'll have the great Chargers legend, Shaun Phillips. He'll drop his NFL knowledge and discuss his current topics and take us back to his playing days. But wait, just like that one guy from the ShamWow commercials, there's more! The dynamic duo of Conor, Myles from Sports Illustrated and Giovanni Hamilton of Philly Sports with Giovanni will stop by. They have you covered for this Sunday's game between the Chargers and the Eagles. Go, 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 go! But before we get to this amazing episode with a limited Gilberto, make sure to subscribe to Compas on the Beat on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And don't forget to give us a follow on Instagram. There's going to be some cool behind-the-scenes stuff, hopefully, when we fly out to Philly. Now, it's time to get to the best damn podcast in the universe. Play the music, Fernando!
Welcome to Compas on the Beat. I am Fernando Ramirez, Chargers beat reporter for Sports Illustrated. With me, as always, my co-host, tag team partner. He is questionable this week for Chargers, but we got to get him going. He writes for the OC Register and LA Daily News. What's up, bro?
Hey, Fernando. Yeah, thanks for mentioning my back off the top. Yeah, I'm trying to fight here, Fernando, for you. I want to make this podcast work for us. I love Compas on the Beat, but I will participate on a snap count. You know how, when Joey Bosa's hurt, he gives whatever he can. Third down pass rusher. That's what I am today, a third down pass rusher, and I'll get you a couple sacks.
You just compared yourself to Joey Bosa. That's a good one.
20% Joey Bosa.
There you go. That's it's crazy because we joked about it on the pod on Sunday after the game, and then I was kind of like, hey, how are you doing? And you were like, yeah, no, I'm not doing too well. And I'm like, okay. So it definitely, so right now, what would you say? You're questionable?
Yeah, I'm definitely questionable for Philly. And I'm just glad, man, this lower back pain occurred last weekend, or I guess on Halloween for the Patriots game on Sunday, because I could only imagine being on a 6-hour flight from Philly back home to LA with that back pain. And then dude, the hardest part about the back pain is like when you lay down or you sit down for long stretches. I can't get up. It's like the hardest thing to do is get up. But once I start moving around, I'm okay. I'll just move really slowly. But that's the kind of the hardest thing. So I'm kind of just thinking about hopefully the pain goes away before that flight, because I'm gonna need some random stranger to help me up from my seat to get going. But
not on the way back though.
Oh yeah, actually, now that I think about it, you know what? If I'm deciding if I'm gonna be a game time decision of going to this Philly game, I know you and your brother are gonna be there to carry me off that plane. Actually, that does help. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, no, of course. It's funny, you guys. The other day, Gilbert and I were at the media center, and we're just going over like Philly and what our plane situation was. And I had kind of told Gilbert what plane to take on the way back, because I'm taking American Airlines coming back. I was like, oh, you should take that one too. He's like, oh, okay, for sure. And Gilbert starts thinking about where to sit, and he's like, oh, these guys are probably sitting all the way at the front. I'm gonna sit in the back. I end up and he asked me, what seat are you at? I'm like, I think I'm 28D and 29C, or 28D and 29D, or no, 29D and 29E. That's Dan and Dago and I. He looks at his, and he's 28D, so he's right in front of me.
How you have my back, literally.
I got your back, bro.
I wanted to sit in the back. All these words for the back. Sit in the back. Back problems. You have my back. Wow.
Yeah, and then you got Dan and Dago right there too, so he's got you too. So it's gonna be a fun trip to Philadelphia. I'm honestly hyped. I've never been. Definitely have to try a Philly cheesesteak. But Gilbert, Dan and Dago said it. We got a big time show. I don't think we've had a big time show like this since the carne asada we hosted before the season started with Greg Rosenthal, Derwin James.
Yeah.
Then Dan and Dago joined us to break down the NFC. It's a jam packed show. We have a lot to do. And it's like Willy Wonka says, we have so much to do with so little time. So it's definitely going to be a jam packed show. So it's gonna be it's awesome. I'm excited. I love when we do these kinds of shows. I love getting good guests on here, and we got three of the best guests that you could honestly ask for.
Yeah, no, I'm a little disappointed I won't be there for that because, yeah, like you mentioned, it's a stacked card lineup. It's like a concert festival, like I always like to say, and I wanted to be there to hear what Shaun Phillips had to say because he went on Twitter saying, I have all this NFL knowledge, I want to share it, and he decided to do it on the compa. So I'm bummed I missed that, but I'm excited to hear it. And then you got Giovanni and Conor to come on and talk about the Eagles as well. Another thing I kind of missed out. I feel bad. But I am on a snap count, so I can't be there. But I will give a shout out to Dan and Dago. I will be kind. Dan and Dago stepped up and filled in for one of the interviews, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's a team effort here at Compas. When one guy goes down, we all have to step up, and obviously, what matters the most is your health. Because I mean, if it was a home game, we wouldn't care as much. No, I'm just kidding.
You're trying to get me to Philly, so you can hang out with me at the bar.
Exactly. So it's definitely going to be interesting. But Gilbert, just real quick, reaction to just a quick reaction to Von Miller being traded to the Rams.
Yeah, a little surprise kind of came out of left field. You kind of thought, Von Miller, what did I say? Von Miller is a lifer. I think I was trying to rhyme there. Von Miller is a lifer in Denver. And you start thinking, oh, maybe they'll ship them. They were kind of a bad team. They're not a great team, but they're kind of in the middle team. So you thought maybe they'll kind of stick it out and see what they do with Teddy Bridgewater, and maybe they'll kind of fight for a wild card spot. But that's it. I think the deal was really enticing to get a second round pick and a third round pick on Von Miller, who's kind of coming out of his prime. He's still very productive. I think was for the Broncos, John Elway, too hard to pass up, regardless of the record for the Broncos. I think they're 4-4, right? They're 500. So it's not like you want to sell, but you see the offer, like, you know what? It might be time to do it. So now I'm intrigued to see what the Rams do with Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Matthew Stafford. The Rams do not care about draft picks. They are the opposite of the Chargers. That they want veteran players, proven players, and they're making it work that way.
It's funny because you listen to some ex players, and you know what's funny? What a lot of people haven't talked about, Gilbert, that your boy obviously sees before anybody else does. The Rams had traded Kenny Young to the Broncos
we were surprised.
A couple of weeks before trading Von Miller. So I think that's where it kind of got the snowball effect. But I really do. It's interesting because I listen to, obviously, you guys know, I listen to Pat McAfee. I listen to some of these ex players, and they all say, dude, as players, we don't want draft picks. Like, get that crap out of here. Bring us somebody who can come in and play hard, which is pretty interesting to hear from, guys saying. You're kind of like, oh, wow, okay, this is interesting. So, I mean, for the Rams to just go all in, and it seems like every year they go all in. So that's why I'm a little bit skeptical still, and people can call me whatever they want, but I'm still skeptical if they'll make the Super Bowl. I think this is a good move, but I just feel like the Rams always go all in every single season, and it doesn't materialize. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll prove me wrong this year, or prove me right again. But it's definitely a move to say, hey, look, now we have Leonard Floyd and Von Miller. Are you still going to double team Aaron Donald, or are you going to leave him singled? Now it's really going to get interesting to see how you defend this kind of and the Titans have the first crack at it this weekend.
Maybe to kind of give it a Chargers point of view, I'm sure Joey Bosa is thinking like, man, I want to be freed up and see less double teams, triple teams with Von Miller, Aaron Donald on my side. So, Fernando, for years, it felt like the draft route was the way to go in the NFL. Like Bill Belichick was like, you know what, I have Tom Brady, I'm the coach here. The rest will be just draft picks. If you're a star and a free agent, you're out of here. Well, Gronk, he kind of kept Gronk. So Gronk, Tom Brady, and the rest was draft picks. That was kind of the formula. And now you're kind of seeing a shift, which is kind of fitting because Tom Brady is also involved. Like when Brady went to the Buccaneers, they went all in, got a bunch of proven veterans that people kind of gave up on. They saw the talent, and it could be maybe 2 or 3 years max for their participation on the team, but it led to a Super Bowl in 1 year. So you're seeing that blueprint now a little more heavy. The Rams have always kind of done it. They've gotten to a Super Bowl. They've been in the playoffs, I think, 4 or 5 years in a row. So they have results as well. But you always got to finish it with a Lombardi trophy, and they're going all in for that Super Bowl at SoFi Stadium.
It's interesting because I feel like it's a mixture. It should be a mixture now. Like if you're gonna make it to the Super Bowl and win it, it's a mixture of both drafting and obviously spending money on players. But it's gonna be interesting to see kind of what, because when you have the Rams and you have the Chargers, you have the two polar opposites. Like the Chargers are like, the last time they traded a draft pick was probably when they got Cardell Jones a couple of years ago as a backup quarterback. They rarely ever trade draft picks. So it's for players especially. So it's going to be interesting to see like which dynamic works better. So far, the Rams dynamic has worked more. Saying F those draft picks, go get players. And the Chargers dynamic has worked for one season when they went to the playoffs in 2018 with Anthony Lynn and they were 12-4. But it's interesting to kind of see. That's why it's interesting to have two football teams in the same city, because you get to see two different perspectives. And one perspective is let's go all in every season, and the other perspective is let's draft, develop, and pay them. But it's kind of like at one point you're kind of like, but these players aren't developing. So how are you going to pay them, and where are you going to get more talent? If those guys aren't developing, where are you going to get the talent? Whereas the Rams is, okay, you're making these blockbuster moves, but what if Von Miller comes in, tears his, like, like it could always either way can both backfire, but it's just interesting to see the two perspectives that they have on how to attack the NFL season, how to get better.
Yeah, with the Chargers, you start thinking, they're 4-3, and they're still not that far out of the AFC West. I know the Raiders are 5-2, but it's a winnable division. And if you're a Chargers fan, you're thinking, why don't you go for it on the trade deadline? You have Justin Herbert, Brandon Staley is doing good things with the Chargers. You have Joey Bosa and Derwin James healthy. Why not pull the trigger now? And I start thinking, why aren't they doing it now? And I get the 4-3 record. It's not like you're not that Super Bowl contender where you're going to get really aggressive. Like other teams have, like the Rams are 6-1, I think, or 7-1, I forget. So at 4-3, maybe you're a little less aggressive. But maybe Tom Telesco and Brandon Staley are thinking, you know what? You're a new head coach with a new system. It's a new regime, a new phase. Maybe this year one is a feel out kind of year where you kind of get the players to kind of figure out the system from a 4-3 to a 3-4, and then see who really belongs in this era of Staley. And then maybe if you guys don't pan out, you move on for year two, and that's when you get really aggressive. That's what maybe I'm thinking Telesco and Staley are kind of considering. But like you mentioned, Fernando, developing so far, but 7 games in, guys are not really showing the flashes of being a second-round pick or a first-round pick. Kevin Murray has been hurt. Chandler Woods has been quiet. Nas has some flashes. Asante has been good, but it's only year one. But all these kind of first-round picks, second-round picks, there's a good amount that are doing pretty well, but also another kind of heavy amount they're not doing as much.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, it's one of those things where you're kind of like, okay, well, some guys are playing a lot of snaps and they're just not coming into fruition. You're kind of like, okay, but I get where you're coming from. Like, let's audition, let's see who can play in this system, who can't. And next year, obviously, I think they have about 80 million, I think 70 to 80 million under the cap. And then if they release Brian Bulaga, I think they get an extra 10. So, I mean, you're going to have a lot of money to spend. Obviously, Mike Williams is a free agent. Derwin James is starting to kind of pop up as a, hey, when are we going to re-sign him? So it's definitely those two players are going to command a lot of money, but it's definitely these guys definitely need to start looking at other players, just because, I mean, it's just interesting at 4-3. I think they're doing a lot better than I thought they were going to do at this point, but it's like those little things that you still are looking at for them. But Gilbert, I mean, right now, let's go to our first guest, Shaun Phillips. First question I asked him was, hey, what do you think about this Von Miller trade? So we're gonna go with Shaun first. Dan and Dago and I talked to former Charger Shaun Phillips. Then we go to Giovanni and Conor. So and then we'll come back for una más. So let's go to that right now, guys. If you guys are watching on YouTube right now, you should see how excited I am and Dan and Dago is in welcoming our next guest. He wore number 95 for the San Diego Chargers. Second all time in sacks. He was one of the best outside linebackers, created chaos for the Chargers for numerous years. Shaun Phillips, thank you so much for jumping on with the Gompas. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate the time. I'm excited to talk a little ball. It's been a long time since I got to talk some ball, so I'm excited.
Shaun, right off the bat, I got to ask you, breaking news on Monday. Von Miller gets traded to the Rams. What does this move say about the Rams? Number one, and number two, what do you think Von Miller brings to this defense that already has Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd, and Aaron Donald?
It's definitely breaking news. I mean, I've been a big fan of Vaughn for quite some time. I've known him since his rookie year. Had the opportunity to play with him in Denver, and he's one of the best in the business, one of the best to ever do it as well. He has this ability to, get off the ground and get around the corner and be flexible, and he just causes havoc. And to Aaron Donald, I think he's the best football player, at least defensive football player ever, in my opinion. There's not many like him to ever do it. But now when you put those two on the same front, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch them play. I love watching defensive minded teams play. So that's going to be exciting. And to have Jalen Ramsey over there, it probably says that the Rams are going all in. So they put all their chips on the table. I mean, right now it's looking like they'll definitely go to the playoffs, and we all know the old adage of football: offense wins games, defense wins championships. And so they are positioning themselves to be a championship contender.
Yeah, you got to be nervous right now if you're Tampa Bay and some of these other ones in the NFC trying to get like a good position, because if you face them, that's going to be a nasty front to face, especially in January and everything else. But I just wanted to ask you real quick, you're remembered for your time in a Bolt jersey. What do you make of the way the Chargers have been playing this season? They've had kind of they jumped off to a good start, and then they're kind of like having two kind of shaky games in a row. What are your thoughts so far on the season and everything?
Well, football, the football season is more of a marathon than a sprint, so they definitely have time to right the ship. The season's not over. There's going to be ebbs and flows through any season. There's always those highs and lows. So one of the things you try to do, though, as a good football team is to not lose two in a row. So unfortunately, they did lose two in a row, but I wouldn't say it's over, right? Like, it's not over. It's a long season. They're still going to go out there and compete. And I mean, when you got a guy like Justin Herbert back there, I mean, he gives you a chance to win, and they're well coached. It just takes time to gel as a football team, right? They only been doing this for a short amount of time together with this group. So, I mean, they just got to continue to gel together. I noticed they got a fair amount of drop passes as well, too. So that hurts the quarterback, right? So I wouldn't say let's start turning away. I mean, it is what it is. There's highs and lows throughout the season, and let's just go out there and get one win, right? So winning cures all. So they'll have a good week of practice this week and get a win under their belt.
Yeah, no, definitely. Shaun, when you look at yesterday, I mean, obviously on Sunday they played the Patriots. What makes is that do you feel like that mystique is still around the Patriots, even with Tom Brady gone, that they're still a good and well coached team? What makes them such a unique team, and having to face a Bill Belichick led Patriots team?
That's a great question. I mean, I wouldn't say there's a mystique around it. I mean, everyone put their pants on the same way as everyone else. It's just the fact that you hit the nail on the head when you said they're well coached, right? That's the one great thing about Belichick, is they're not going to have a lot of mistakes. And that come with gelling as a unit and also being accountable as well. He holds his players accountable. for that particular reason, right? Because, if you can eliminate mistakes, you always got a chance to win. That's kind of how I always viewed things, right? Like even if you're not a very talented team, if you don't get a lot of mistakes and you don't have a lot of errors and you play assignment football, you at least got a chance to win. So when you get that, and then you can add some skill position or some talented players on there, then that gives you a better chance to win. So it ain't that they have some secret sauce. It's just that they're well coached and they do things that do the right things, right? You take care of business, you take care of your job, you're accountable for your job, and every man plays their role. And that's what makes up a good football team, right? Everyone knows their role, everyone's accountable, and everyone does their job to the best of their ability. And when you get an opportunity to make a play, that is when you make a play.
Yeah, that's very true. One thing that was crazy about this weekend, like, can you just explain what's going on in the NFL right now? The Titans lost to the Jets, but they beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bills. The Bengals the Bengals beat down the Ravens, but lost to the Jets. Like, what's going on? It's been such a crazy weekend with backups winning games and all this stuff. It's just been wild.
Well, you know how football is. I mean, they made a movie about it, Any Given Sunday, right?
Al
That's the way
Pacino,
it
great
works.
film.
That's the way it works. It's Any Given Sunday. That's why you got to come to play all the time, right? Like the season is a marathon. You're going to win some of the ones that you're supposed to lose, and you're going to lose some of the ones that you're supposed to win. It was an old formula that Marty used to have, rest in peace, is win all home games and win half of your road games, and you make it to the playoffs, right? And so that's kind of the secret formula. You're going to win some games, you're going to lose some games. I mean, everyone's so competitive, right? And you never know when the ball's going to bounce your way. And, everyone's good in the NFL. It ain't really like, it ain't like some other sports where, some teams just dominate for such a long time. Yes, we do have some teams in that aspect, but for the most part, everyone's fairly talented. And when everyone's fairly talented and everyone's very competitive, I mean, you never know what could happen, right? Like, it's a winter game. Some of these like West Coast teams got to go play in like Green Bay or something like that, right? So those elements change things. So every week you have a whole new game plan, right? And so what worked last week may not work this week, or you might find yourself in a different predicament where you got to throw the ball more on your running team, or vice versa. And it's really a chess match. Who's going to come to play that week. That's why football is the ultimate team sport, because you have 11 people that actually have to be on the same page at the same time, because when that one person is not on the same page, that's usually the person or individual that gets exposed. And so that's why I always call football the ultimate team sport, because there's really 11 people that have to be in sync at all times.
Shaun, I need you to explain something to me. There is a 44-year-old quarterback still playing in today's league, and he's playing at a high level. Just what have you made about Tom Brady and kind of the level that he's playing at right now?
Well, Tom Brady is the man, by the way. I know Charger fans, I hate me to say that, but Tom Brady is a stud. He's a stud. But football is really the only sport where you get penalized for being older, right? Like you look at soccer, there's a ton of soccer teams or soccer players that are, late 30s that get picked up on a team and they're playing right away. With football, just the nature of the sport, everyone's looking for the next talent so they can play for the next 10 years. They're not really worried about the 1, 2, 3 year players. And that's understandable, but that just goes to show that that's more of a football thing where they want you in your 20s or early 30s to be out there performing, right? Because it is a young man's game. But, if you got the talent, you got the tools and the skill set and the way he takes care of his body and the way sports science has evolved since football has begun, right? Like you don't got 3 a days anymore. You don't got two padded practices a day. You ain't tackling that practice. Like all of those things are out the window. So it allows your body to recover and allows you to go out there perform at a high level, but not only at a high level, but for longer, right? And so I'm glad Tom is kind of breaking that mantra and stereotype down, because with sports science and the way people take care of their body and the way that the game is played now, you can play a lot longer, because really you should be rewarded for having more of a mental edge on people. Like when you first start in the league, your athleticism is at a 10 and your knowledge is at a 1. But as you get older, that number starts to change, and that mental state goes up more to the 10, and then athleticism may go down to a 1. But just because you're a little less athletic, you make up for it in smart, so it actually balances out. But you couldn't tell these NFL owners that, because they want their next young stallion, which is fair enough as well too. But Tom Brady is the man, and I'm looking forward to seeing more guys play a lot longer and at such a high level. It looks like Aaron Rodgers may be up next to do something like that. Who knows?
It's definitely going to be interesting, especially because with the news that Adrian Peterson, I think, is getting signed by the Titans. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what he can do at his age and everything. But let me ask you something real quick. Do you feel like those middle 2000 teams should have won more with like the Charger middle 2000 teams? I know personally, those are one of my favorite teams that I ever watched. I'm a huge Marty guy, so I love those teams. Like, how do you reflect on that time period right there?
Yes, we definitely should have won more games, and we definitely should have brought a Super Bowl to San Diego during those times. I'm a huge Marty fan as well too. If the Chargers organization made a mistake, I would just say that was one of them. Even though I love the organization, I love everyone over there, so there's no slight in that. But Marty was the kind of guy that you would just you'd run through a wall for, right? Like you always wanted to play for him. So he was a textbook leader, right? And so I personally love Marty. I think we definitely should have done a lot better than we did. I mean, we did go out and give our all, but it seems as if maybe we were one piece away, or maybe we were one coach away, or maybe we were just one player away. So I don't regret any of those things, but I do believe we should have performed a little bit better. I don't know what one particular piece we were missing, but we definitely should have performed a little better and made a little bit more noise.
Shaun, do you feel like Marty Schottenheimer deserves to be in the Hall of Fame?
Definitely. Marty's, one of the best coaches to ever do it. I know they have these standards where you got to have a Super Bowl, but I mean, we got to look at wins and playoff appearances and the amount of talent that he's put out and the legacy that he's passed on, right? I mean, his son's still coaching in the NFL, right? So he's definitely a Hall of Fame type of coach, and he should be in the Hall of Fame. And I do think he'll get that call one day.
So I read something about you, Shaun, when you were in New Jersey in high school football, you were a tight end, and that you wanted to go to Purdue to play with Drew Brees because he was throwing the football. Is that right? And then my second question is, and you ended up following him to the NFL, and you both were on the Chargers. What was that whole ride like?
It was great. I mean, you're absolutely right. I was a tight end. I actually played some tight end at Purdue as well too. Like I caught I don't know, 1 or 2 touchdowns, I believe. Because we were a run and shoot team, right? So I was our 12 personnel tight end. I always, I got this ongoing joke with Antonio Gates, where I said, "You're lucky I didn't play tight end. We might not have had you here." And he says the same thing back to me in terms of outside linebacker. But yes, I did go to Purdue because I wanted to, play tight end, and they threw the ball 50, 60 times a game. So it was I was a pass catching tight end. So being able to get the ball from Drew Brees and, them throwing the ball as much as they did, I thought it was the right fit for me. Until I realized that defensive players made more money, and I like being a hunter, not the hunted. So that was a thing that helped me change my mind as well. And it was fun getting to San Diego when Drew was there. It was kind of funny because Drew was struggling a little bit before I got there. And it was just baffling to me because I'm like, I watched Drew in practice, how competitive he is, how good he is, what he did in college. It's finding it hard to believe that he's not, prospering in the NFL. So obviously I got there and we ended up doing a little better. And it's funny, I remember when it clicked with Drew. It was after a game that he got knocked out. He had a concussion, and then he came back, and then we just went on this crazy winning streak. So I don't know if they knocked something straight in him or just or just Drew just start performing as the future Hall of Famer that he will be. So it was pretty cool. We also had Nick Hardwick that I played with in college that was in San Diego with me as well.
Quick question. What was it like? Can you explain that a little bit? What was it like playing opposite of Sean Merriman? Like, I remember it was always such a nightmare for quarterbacks on Sunday because you'd either have Sean Merriman doing his celebration or it was you getting the sack and doing your bowling celebration, which was awesome. We loved watching it as fans and everything else. Can you explain what it was like playing opposite someone like that and how you just always sync and you'd meet at the quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have had twice as many sacks if I didn't have Sean there because he stole some of them, right? Because you got to account for him as well too, and vice versa. It was always fun playing with Sean because he was always so passionate. It's funny because he never talks on the field. Like the guy, like I'm the one out there talking and gibbering and jabbering, and he's just like focused and locked in and doesn't speak and just goes out there and perform. So it was always fun, right? You kind of had to pick your poison. Some teams respected him a bit more, so they would slide the protection his way. Some teams respected me a little bit more, so they would slide the protection my way. It's kind of like you need that. Talking about what's going on in, for the Rams, like we were speaking about, you need that other side because if if a team just slide the protection your way all the time, then, it's hard for you to make plays. But when you got somebody else on the other side that's equally as accountable and equally as good, then it really it really helps you out as an individual, which also helps the team out.
Shaun, I got to ask you about a moment. I don't know if you can see on the screen right now, but I got to ask you about this moment right here with you guys and Jay Cutler. What was that? What was this? What was going on here? A lot of people have always wondered what was going on in this moment.
That was old school. I don't remember exactly what was said, but I do remember that. I mean, Jay's a big talker, just like Phil's a big talker. So I think we were, typical friendly pleasantries. I told him his number looked good on him. Told him good game. I told him Merry Christmas. So I was being nice. I was saying nice things, and he was saying nice things back.
Oh well, I love the peace out. Like that was my favorite moment where you're just standing there and you're like, "Peace, dude. See you later." So that's
because it was a bunch of talking before the game as well too. Like a lot of the guys were gibbering and jabbering before the game. I think we almost got into it before the game as well. So just friendly competition. No one's really doing anything. It's always weird. Like sometimes you're on the field and somebody's like, "Oh, I'll beat your A." We're like, "You're not doing anything. We're in a football game." No one's beating anyone. No one's going to the car and waiting for someone in the parking lot. These things aren't happening. So it's always common to me when everyone's talking about, "Oh, I'm gonna do this to you or do that to you." It's like, you're not going to do anything. We're professional athletes here. We're not thugs.
Yeah, exactly. Shaun, last one from us. You obviously, the way we kind of formed this together was you put on Twitter that you have a lot of football knowledge, that you want to do more with the game. Can you explain that to us and what you want to do? Obviously you have a plethora of knowledge. You were in the game. You were one of the best pass rushers in the game at one point. You were part of one of the best duos in the NFL. And what do you want to do with all this football knowledge? Are you thinking about coaching? Like, what can you tell us what you're thinking right now about what you want to do?
What I want to do, I definitely don't want to coach. Coaching's not really my forte. I do have a 20-year-old son that plays at Sam Houston State right now, who's #1 in the country. So I embark my knowledge on him for the most part. But I love talking about the game, this interaction with you guys. So whether it's on TV communicating, whether it's on the radio communicating, whether it's on the podcast communicating, I just feel like I'm ready to start talking shop, just because I do have a ton of knowledge. I watch a game and it's funny. I can just break down every play. I see what's happening. I see what's about to happen, and I understand why things are going this way. That was part of my skill set as a player, right? I like to be very knowledgeable about the game, right? I can tell you what anyone's doing from the first man on the roster to the last man on the roster. And that's how I prided myself as a player, is knowing what the people next to me are doing. It makes my job easier. So I just understand a lot of the fundamentals and the context of football, the little nuances and details of football that not a lot of people have, that I love sharing. Maybe I can give a couple tips to these bettors out there as well too. I noticed a lot of people are on FanDuel and WinBets, and I'm like, all these people just randomly guessing. Like, I can help you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Shaun, this show is called Compas on the Beat. It is because my co-host and I, Gilbert, we're compas means buddy in Spanish, and you have a place with the compas whenever you'd want. We'd love to keep on doing something with you, and hopefully we can keep on helping you spread that knowledge. Obviously, we're gonna learn, so we definitely love to do something with you. Hopefully in the future.
Yep, I'll be available. You guys just let me know. You know how to get in
Appreciate
touch
it.
with me now. So, gracias, compas.
Thank you, Shaun. Shaun, quick question. My co-host, I gotta let you know, he hurt his back. He hadn't worked out since training camp started. He decided he's smaller than I am, but he decides to jump rope, go on a 6-mile run, and then he shows up to the game yesterday and he's like, oh, and I'm like, what's the matter? He's like, I worked out too hard. Can you prescribe something for him so that he can get better and he doesn't have to go on IR?
a little ibuprofen, but I'll tell you what our coaches told us: put some dirt on it.
Love that. Thank you for joining the compa, Shaun. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you guys soon.
All right, we're continuing a trend here on Compas on the Beat. Gilbert Montano will not be joining us again. He is questionable with that back injury. We're all T's and P's. We're praying for you, Gilbert, that you pull. I shouldn't say pull because he pulled his back. Let's just hope you get better. But I'm so excited about my next guest. You know him, you love him, Giovanni Hamilton, at Gio the podcaster, Giovanni the Philly sports podcaster. You've seen him all over. Good Morning Football, the Pat McAfee show, all over. Also with us, Conor Myles. He covers the Eagles for SI.com. So he has a special place in my heart because obviously he's an SI brethren. I'm excited to have you guys both. How are you guys both doing? Gio, how are you doing?
I'm great.
I'm so excited to be here with you, Fernando, because you're talking about the SI family and everything like that, but I feel like we've been family before SI even started, man. When we were talking this all season back when Ertz was almost a Charger.
Yeah,
and you and I definitely were really in discussions about that. So man, it's great to be on. Finally talked with you on the show. You were on my show. You explained a lot about Shane Steichen, and unfortunately, you were right about a lot of things that you talked about. So thanks for the pre-warning. A lot of our viewers appreciate it. But it's great to be on your show, man.
Honestly, I hope you mean that. And when I go to Philly, I'm not like booed because I gave everybody a preview. So I'm hoping that people don't know that I'm the one that I was the messenger and I warned everybody before.
No, you're safe. You're safe. You're good with us, pal.
So Giovanni, I just want to ask you, and I told you off camera, I love meeting great people, and I think you're a great human being. I think I've read that you've obviously had over 14 surgeries and all this. So can you talk about how you stay so positive and how you're able to be just you have such a smile that when I see you smile, it makes me smile. How are you able to kind of do that and stay positive during hard times?
I just never look at the negative stuff, and I just try to focus on what's positive. Mainly after surgery, Conor always gets me a jersey, so I'm always looking forward to that.
Look at that, Conor. Just can you talk about that and just kind of the relationship that you and Gio have had?
I mean, not a lot of people know this stuff because it's funny. A lot of people, I don't want to bring this on your podcast, but a lot of people accuse me of using Gio for my beneficial gain, and I think it's the funniest thing ever because before all this started, before all the podcast started, I lost my father and it was really tough on me. It was unexpected, so getting through that was tough. But During the times I was struggling to get through it is when Gio came out with his Carson Wentz, you're my hero thing. And I invested in his story and I learned about him and I watched his social media growth and his positivity. And I reached out to his family and I said, if it wasn't for these videos, if it wasn't for Giovanni being so positive and making that message reflect in my heart, I wouldn't be getting through this the way I am today. Can I send him a Brian Dawkins jersey? And then after that, we just became best friends.
Yeah.
Literally just became best friends. Like Warzone all the time. We're podcasting together. Like everything that we do is together now. That's all it started, man. And just his positive words made an impact in my heart, helped me get through my struggles. He could do it for anybody, and I know he can do it for anybody. So that's the only reason why we got so tight and became friends is because his podcast can change the world. It could change anybody's. You don't have to be an Eagles fan. You don't have to be even a sports fan, to be honest with you, to just listen to him and hear his positivity and listen to the interviews he does. I mean, it just makes you want to get up out of bed and do the right thing today. So that's how it all started for me. Gio's positive impact in my life got me through my hard times. So that's what I owe him. And that's why our friendship is so tight.
That's honestly awesome. And obviously I think Conor took a peek at my questions because I was going to actually ask you, Gio, about that moment. You get to go to the Eagles practice and you get to meet Carson Wentz. What was this moment like for you, just getting to meet Carson Wentz and kind of why did he become your hero?
So I got a long story, but
We got nothing but time, brother.
Okay. So 2016 gets drafted by the Eagles. I instantly fall in love with him. I'm like, this is going to be our quarterback for the next few years. I love this guy. He was the first jersey that I actually ever got. And he had been my hero for a couple of years, mainly his perseverance through injury. And then I got to go to training camp. He's walking down the line of people. And he gets to my sister. And my heart sinks. I'm like, this is real. Like, I'm actually going to be able to meet him. And then he comes over to me, and I started crying. And then I told him that he was my hero, and I gave him a hug.
That is honestly awesome. That is so cool. I mean, honestly, that's and it's funny because you got to meet somebody special, and you guys really built a connection, which is awesome. So, I mean, I'm a huge WWE nerd. I love all that stuff, and the reason. So don't think I'm going to ask you guys something off the hook, but what brought you guys together as a tag team? Like what when you guys started kind of moving together, and did you, Conor, reach out to Gio about maybe getting together and doing stuff together?
So thank God, Gio, we finally get to address this. We've never been able to address this. Never was it ever my idea. Ever.
It was
never my idea for him to do a podcast. Gio wanted to do a podcast before I started my podcast.
Wow.
He was always talking about doing podcasting and all that stuff. And what came together as a tag team was I know how to do production side of it. That's it. I literally know how to go on a GarageBand and make his episodes. And that's what got us so tight is he wanted to put his podcast on our network because he knew that nothing was in it for me. Nothing's in it for him. He just wants to have fun doing podcasts. He doesn't want all the drama stuff or everything else that, I know you know it because the podcasting world does bring in a lot of heat and brings in a lot of attention and negativity. But that's what we all wanted to avoid. We all just wanted to be friends, having fun doing podcasting. And that's what I told him. I said, that's all it's going to be. Anything that your show does beneficial wise for you all goes towards you. Anything that you guess wise, that's all about you. If you notice, I know his show is Philly Sports with Giovanni and it's on Eagles Unfiltered, but that's rarely ever mentioned. It's always Philly Sports with Giovanni. You can find it by just Googling it and you'll find our podcast. You don't have to see our name. So that was just the whole point behind it for me. I don't want anybody to ever associate what he does with what I do. I know he's the same way. He doesn't want anything that he does to be associated with what I do. It's all, Philly Sports with Giovanni is just Giovanni. Like that's all him. Like everything he does is his idea. Every guest he's reached out to bring onto his show has been him. Every question he asks has been him. Nobody's coaching him. Nobody's asking him to do anything. This is Giovanni being Giovanni. And that's all he wanted to do. And that's what he asked me. And that's why I said, let's do it, baby. Let's rock.
I love that. What's funny is that you never think about behind the scenes kind of stuff. I mean, I never would have thought anything negative about like you guys joining up or you guys doing that kind of stuff. It's surprising to me that people are so negative, especially because of like obviously like the kind of climate that we're in and everything. You would just think people would be like, oh, okay, let people live, but I guess people just can't. They don't know how to do that.
We've been struggling with it lately. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how it could be viewed that way. I really don't. But it has been, and it's not. It's in Philadelphia circles, really. Unfortunately, it is. It's a big industry, man. You know it. I know it too. You're with Believe. We're also with Believe. They reached out to us and brought us on, and we were so excited for that opportunity. I mean, the attention that this stuff gets, you know, it does bring some envy when you're also in the same field and people are trying to do the same things you're doing. And, you know, unfortunately, some people look at it as me taking advantage of Giovanni. And it's unfortunate we have to bring this up on the pod, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
None of us feel that way. As long as his parents don't feel that way, as long as Giovanni doesn't feel that way, we're good, man. We're rocking. We're having fun, man. This is all we love doing podcasts, man. It's the best thing that ever happened to us.
I love it. No, and honestly, I've known Conor for about almost about a year, and I think you're a great human being. So honestly, I kind of have a sixth sense about that stuff. So I know Conor's a great human being, and I love what you guys are doing. But Gio, let's talk a little bit about that podcast. Let negativity, kick it out the door. We don't want it in here. So obviously, like I think it's tough. I mean, when I first started, I thought, oh, you're just asking questions. But no, you really have to put some thought into this, especially because, I mean, if you ask an open-ended question, a player will just say yes, no, or there'll be like a short answer. So, Gio, how did you kind of, I mean, I could barely do it at 23. Imagine you at 14. How were you able to kind of get that going? And how do you feel like your podcast has kind of grown?
I feel that it's grown because of people like Chris Long, who have really helped me develop my podcast. I believe that the reason that I am getting better at it is because I have a great support system like Chris Long and my family and Conor. Conor is great to support me. He's always there. So yeah, I think that's why my podcast has grown.
So obviously, like when you've reached out to guests and stuff, I saw you got Colleen Wolfe the other day. That's huge. I tried to reach out and I didn't get an answer. So hey, you're just killing it right now. Just what has it been like, and what's kind of who's been? I mean, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but who's been one of your favorite guests that you've had on?
One of my favorites has been Chris Long because I feel like we've just grown a friendship from it. And I feel like we've come closer, and he invited me to his tailgate, and I actually got to meet him, and it was just amazing.
Conor, for you, what I mean, getting to see like all this stuff kind of happen. I mean, what's kind of been your reaction? I mean, obviously, like you're a Philly guy and everything, but to see somebody like like the community take Giovanni and kind of help him out with all this, how do you feel about it?
I love it because you know, this is what we need. This is what the world needs. We need stuff like this to happen. Giovanni's future is well beyond Philadelphia. It's well beyond Philadelphia sports. He's going to be big time ESPN broadcasting someday. But not only is he going to be doing that stuff, it's his message in it. You know, like you said, he's gone through 20 surgeries. He's gone through a ton of uphill battles, and yet you will never, ever, ever, ever hear him speak about it, other than making a video for Twitter or letting everybody of his followers know what's going on with him. That's the only time you'll ever hear him speak about what he goes through. We need more of that in the world. That message needs to be sent to other people in the world. And that's the rewarding factor it is for me, you know, to see everybody gravitate towards him. Whenever I put out a video on YouTube, he gets 1 million comments on each video about how great he is, how he's going to be the future, how they love listening to him. That's important because his message in each one of them is how to make yourself a better human being each day, or how to be a positive person and tune out the negativity. And that's the rewarding factor is for me, because there's some people out there that really need to hear that message, that could really use it and soak it in. And I know that there is. I know that I was one of those people at that time. And to know that I'm doing my part into helping get his message out there a little bit more each and every time he records an episode, that's the reward for me.
That is awesome. So obviously, we talk about what's going on right now. But Gio, you just a couple of weeks ago, you were at you got flown into Indianapolis. You got to hang out with Carson Wentz. Just what was all that like, and getting to experience kind of a different franchise and getting to go over and see your pal?
It was a great experience to see everybody and to see how the different fan bases are, and I think that my love for football has expanded from that trip, and I didn't even know that that was possible. But I appreciate football so much more now, just because of all the different fan bases, and everybody in Indy has welcomed me with open arms. I was signing autographs in Indy. It was crazy.
That is awesome. Speaking of that, you got to jump on one of my favorite. I mean, besides your podcast, another one that I love is the Pat McAfee show. What was getting to go in there and talk to Pat and the boys? What was that like?
It was really awesome because you go in a warehouse,
Yeah.
which you don't think that it's gonna be like right like in the city, and like it's kind of just like hidden in the open. And so you go in and you're in a warehouse, and there's basketball hoops, and there's a big wrestling ring, and there's a ton of stuff. And then you go back to his studio and you get to sit down, and his studio is just amazing, and seeing everybody behind the scenes of his podcast is just crazy.
Did you enjoy yourself while you were there?
I loved it. I had a great time.
Are you going to be one of the boys soon?
Maybe.
Hey, there you go.
For sure.
You know, it's funny. I read about you, Gio, that you wanted you wanted to be a head coach. That was your thing. Are you still leaning towards that, or or because of everything that you've experienced with the podcast and with journalism, are you kind of leaning more towards that?
I love my podcast, and I don't think that love's ever going to change. So I really think that this is where I'm meant to be.
That is awesome. Conor, what are you going to add to that?
Oh, I agree. I mean, you see all these opportunities that open up for him, and he's not even trying. He's literally not trying. Like all this stuff that he's able to do with ESPN, and they did the feature on him and his show. Good Morning Football America did it as well. He's not trying, folks. Like he's not asking to be on these things. They're reaching out to him. That means that they see some potential in him. So at 14 years old, NFL Network, ESPN, all these other outlets that cover him, Sports Illustrated's covered him as well. They all see the potential in him. So there's definitely a future in this broadcasting world for him. That's absolutely for sure.
Gio, that's why I asked Conor. I reached out to Conor. I'm like, hey, I would really love to get this kid on the show because I think you're awesome. So I just wanted one of my final questions is, what message do you send the kids who are struggling with, whether it's with whatever they're dealing with? How can they keep on staying positive?
I'd say get a good support system and follow your dreams, really, because I feel like through all the negativity and all of my surgeries and everything, being able to come back to the podcast has been a blessing, and having this outlet to talk about football has been a blessing. So I would just say follow your dreams and find your dreams.
What do you think, Conor?
Let's go. That got me. I'm ready to run through a wall.
I love that.
I love him, man.
Yeah, no, he's definitely awesome. Gio, last one for me. Our podcast is named Compas on the Beat. I don't know if you know what compas means, but in English, compas means buddy. So you're officially a compa of Compas on the Beat. We love having you. You're awesome. Thank you so much. And honestly, I asked you off camera, but I got to ask you now. I hopefully I can meet you on Sunday. I think that'd be awesome. I will be at the game covering it, so I definitely would love to get to meet you and say hi.
Yeah, I'd love to meet you, man.
Thank you, Conor. You're a compa as well. I mean, obviously, I don't have to say it. Like we've jumped on before. I gave you a little bit of the lowdown on Steichen and Sirianni.
You know, jury's out for them still, man. I'm not gonna lie. Jury's still out on them. I got to see how it goes going forward. I know they beat up on Anthony Lynn last week, so I wasn't really that impressed because I'm Again, I made fun of Anthony Lynn multiple times this offseason. We'll see. The screens are real. He did warn me. He did warn me about the screens.
Yeah, no, I definitely did. But thank you guys so much for jumping on.
What a courageous effort by Gilberto! By the way, he told me to say that. He's out here acting like he's got a broken freaking back like he's Kurt Angle or something, and he's trying to go out for a gold medal. And he's ready for Una Más, a boxing edition. Gilberto! And Fernando will break down this Saturday's boxing showdown between Saul El Canelo Alvarez and Canelo-Plant for the all-super middleweight belts. And also get into the big UFC pay-per-view. So let's get to Una Más!
Gilbert, I mean, obviously I missed you. You're my brother. I missed you. But man, that was a jam-packed 2 interviews. It was honestly a lot of fun. It would have been a lot more fun if you were in there, but man, that was some good stuff, honestly. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it was pretty good stuff.
Yeah, no, you're definitely the producer of the show. You got both lineups or guests or 3 guests to come on. So I'm sure it was a heavy workload for you, and I kind of disappointed I wasn't there to help out. But props to you to get this episode going, because we have been lacking on guests. So and I know you've been pushing me. We need these guests, and you got it done.
No, I mean, and that's the thing, is that sometimes it's good to hear other perspectives. I mean, I hate listening to myself talk. I know you and everybody else think that I love listening to myself talk. I actually do not.
I don't say you love, but you love talking.
No, yeah, because I have a lot of knowledge, but Gilbert, that's why Una Más is all about you. And well, Una Más has been all about you for the last few weeks, especially with some of my surprises, which I might have some, Gilbert. So get excited. But I want to hear from you this weekend, Gilbert, in Philly. We're gonna be hanging out. We're gonna be out late. Don't worry, Mom. We'll be responsible. But we're gonna be out late because it is Canelo-Plant. Canelo-Plant versus Canelo Alvarez. Gilbert, give me the breakdown. I still remember, Gilbert, when a couple of weeks ago when we got this right here. Look at that.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Look at that.
This is where Canelo thought Canelo-Plant was talking about his mom, but Caleb just said MFer. Have you seen the TikToks with Canelo, his voice on that explaining why he pushed Canelo-Plant?
Yeah, I have.
Like, oh, he said
my mother or whatever, and it's like, dude, come on.
That's when you cross the line.
But my God.
I guess I'll start with that. I really like this new Canelo, who, props to him. He doesn't care that he has an accent when he speaks English. He's trying his best, and he actually understands English really well. And he's starting to get to a point where he's speaking really well. So I know people are making fun of him on the accent on TikTok, but I really respect that he's out there trying to put himself out there. And I don't know if he cares that it has made him a bigger star in the U.S. because he's speaking English. I think he just feels like, you know what? I've been practicing. Let me show it off the way I show you his combinations. And now he's trash talking with Canelo-Plant. He's calling people MFers in the press conference. He's dodging punches from Canelo-Plant in the press conference. So this new Canelo Alvarez was kind of like not the pretty boy anymore. He's more like the heel, as you say in WWE. I like this Canelo. He is aggressive, and that's why I think he's probably gonna have a good day in the ring on Saturday night.
I'm excited for the weigh-in because they're gonna have to go face to face again, and that could get a little fired up. It's been a while since I think somebody hit the other guy, and like it's been more UFC where the guys fight each other, and then it's obviously canceled because one guy gets something wrong with his jaw or his eye or something like that. Canelo's smart. He's all about his money. I don't think anything reckless will happen. There'll be a little pushing, a little shoving, but I don't think it'll be more than that. But definitely it's interesting to watch Canelo and Plant go. I'm honestly excited, especially because I think the last time we watched something in combat sports, well, that's coming up next, but it was now the rematch is happening, but we watched that one, and it's interesting to watch it with you because you break it down in a different way. So I'm definitely I feel like this weekend is going to be a good weekend to watch boxing and everything. But man, this fight has me excited.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, watching the replays that you keep running here of the shoving match in the press conference between Canelo and Caleb, uh, I bet Caleb is really grateful that Canelo has great reflexes where he got out the way on the punch, because imagine if Caleb actually landed that punch and maybe Canelo got hurt and he has to,
Yeah.
withdraw from the fight. You lose a massive payday. Knowing Canelo, you probably want to be hurt from a punch, but uh, that's the thing when you try to get a little aggressive in these news conference, there's always a possibility of losing that payday because somebody got hurt or somebody got suspended. If I'm Canelo-Plant, where you're probably gonna make a cool $10 million, play it safe. He didn't though, and there's more. I think it kind of raised his profile name wise. Like people didn't know who Canelo-Plant was. I remember I asked you, Fernando, you're like, who's Canelo-Plant? Now
Yeah,
we
I
all
didn't
know
know.
because of that press conference. So there was some risk to reward there, and it worked out for Caleb because people are really excited for this fight now just because of bad blood. And I don't think it was fake either. I think Canelo really didn't
Oh,
understand that when you say MF or you're not really talking about somebody's mother, but he took it to heart, and it ended up being a great storyline. But Fernando, kind of get it more into the ring. I see Canelo-Plant. And when I see Canelo-Plant, I see Billy Joe Saunders. Technically sound, polished, not too flashy, not much power. But in a 12-round fight, if he's fighting somebody who's kind of average Joe, he's gonna pick you apart and he's gonna win on the scorecards. Nothing flashy, nothing crazy, but he is a nice polished fighter. But when you step into the ring and you heard Canelo say it, that once you get in the ring with him, you're gonna see there's levels to it. He's on a different platform than Canelo-Plant. There's nobody near the level of Canelo Alvarez right now, especially in that super middleweight division. And people don't care about the belts, but every belt's on the line, Fernando. This is undisputed, the reigning undisputed champion of the world. Whoever wins, and I just think Canelo just on a different level in terms of defense, power, combinations, footwork. And I know against Billy Joe Saunders, he kind of struggled the first few rounds, but that's the thing with Billy Joe. He has no power that eventually, even if Canelo's having an off day, that power of the combination is going to come through. And I think he broke his eye socket. So I kind of see that same kind of pattern with Canelo-Plant on Saturday.
so you see knockout?
I do. And I think I'm gonna go ninth round. I don't think Canelo-Plant is as polished as Billy Joe Saunders when it comes to being a little crafty, a little awkward, good defense. I think he's maybe a better combination fighter. But when you try to throw punches with Canelo Alvarez, he is the best at the counter game. So when you think about it, you break it down, you start saying, okay, Caleb is good at this, he's good at that. But then you start thinking, well, Canelo's much better at that. I don't see a way from the win.
Yeah, I see a TKO too. I just think Canelo's on a different planet right now. He's probably the best pound for pound right now. So I'm definitely gonna go with him. Now let's jump over to the. I was mentioning right now the last time that Gilbert and I watched combat sports together, it was actually at his place when we were watching UFC. We're getting some good fights. We get
Yeah.
Usman versus Covington. We watched. Is that the rematch? We watched that,
That
right?
is a rematch, but we did not watch that one. The one that we
Oh
watched
no,
was Usman against Masvidal, where I think
Masvidal.
he knocked that Masvidal pretty nasty.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the rematch is Rose versus
I think Rose and
I don't think
I
Rose
don't
has fought since we watched
Wei
it.
Ling. I don't want to butcher her name, but
Yeah, Wei
she's
Ling.
from China, and I think that was the same card, right? It was Usman
Yeah.
Masvidal main event, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
Rose
yeah. Yeah.
and Wei Li was the co-main event.
Yes. And then here's some more
Justin Gaethje is always a fun fighter.
Michael Chandler's good.
Yeah, those three cards right there are really good. I mean, three fights are really good.
You got Shane Burgos versus Billy Conran.
Frankie Edgar has been around for a long time.
Frankie Edgar, Marlon Vera.
Dude, if we weren't in Philly, this would have been a card where, like, you know what, I'm spending my money. But then you start thinking, like, what are you paying for? The Canelo Alvarez pay-per-view or this UFC 268 pay-per-view?
Bro, I pay
So
for one, you pay for the other one.
I guess we need two TVs, but the real question is, where are we going in Philly? We're going to be in Philadelphia Saturday night. We need to go to a specific bar that has boxing and UFC at the same time. So if you're if you're a listener of Comas on the Beat and you're out in Philly or you're familiar with Philly, please give us a recommendation because we need a bar on Saturday night.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we definitely need a place to go. We want to watch both of these. obviously both of these events at the same time, and it should be a good one, man. I mean, you got a lot of good stuff here with these fighters. I mean, I remember Michael Chandler's the guy that like he jumped on the cage and then did a backflip, right?
Yeah, that was him. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
that was like his
was
first fight.
yeah, in the UFC, he was in a different promotion and he came up and did pretty well. So he's
Yeah.
moving up the rankings now because Gaethje's pretty good. Gaethje has fought some of the best lightweights. He's kind of had a few losses, but when he's in there, man, he's always a tough out.
I wish there was more women fighters in this card. I just feel like I don't know, the fights with the guys are great and everything, but the women fighters are so aggressive. Like I remember the Rose and Wei Lee fight, man, I remember there was blood spilling all over the floor. Like there was a lot of really good stuff.
And Whaley was on a tear too. She was beating everybody, and for Rose to kind of come and do it, I think she was an underdog. So
She
that's
was
gonna be a really good rematch. And speaking of storylines, man, Kamaru Usman and Kobe Covington, man, those guys hate each other. And I think Usman broke Kobe's jaw in the first fight, and it was actually like Kobe might have been the closest one to actually have a chance against Usman, who's been in a tear as well. But I know still Kamaru kind of beat him up for 5 rounds. So you're kind of thinking, why was there a rematch? But you know, Usman, who's he gonna fight anyway? He has nobody to challenge him, and the one that kind of came the closest was Kobe, and they hate each other. So it's definitely a money grabber.
No, I'm definitely excited for this whole card. Man, they start at the same time, don't they?
I don't know, dude, and I hope I don't know. Like boxing is doing this weird thing too, where like they wait for UFC to end to start their boxing event. Like I don't want to wait. Let's just have multiple TVs going on. It's 2021. We have it on ourselves on our laptop. Let's not wait for anybody. Let's have these cards going because I don't want to be up to 3 in the morning on the East Coast.
That's what happened. Oh, remember that's what happened with SummerSlam and the Manny Pacquiao fight. They waited for SummerSlam to be over.
Yeah, and
And
boxing
then
is waiting.
Yeah, like John Cena, Roman Reigns ended, and as soon as it ended, that's when Manny Pacquiao came out to the ring.
I remember that.
Yeah, no, these are some late fights. So yeah, that's been really interesting. Gilbert, you know, when it's una más, I can't let you leave without some kind of fun, and I'm gonna be quick about it. But you're gonna be a judge right now. Are you ready to be a judge?
I'm ready.
All right. I want to know who you thought had the best costume over the weekend. Which athlete had the best costume?
Ooh, was
That
that
is
LeBron?
That's Anthony Davis.
As who?
I thought it was OJ Simpson, but I don't know.
Wait, which one's Anthony Davis?
Right here, this one.
Oh, with the girl?
Yeah.
Go a little closer. I can't see.
That's as close as it lets me.
Huh. He kind of looks like the
character. He's the Candyman.
Oh, no, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because LeBron was
Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger, and then this is Neymar, soccer player. I don't know what he's supposed to be,
but you have him on there. He's a soccer player.
Well, because there's more, dude. Did you see Aaron Rodgers' costume?
Yeah, John Wick. I kind of like that one.
It was pretty good. Like, and he had been growing out his stuff for a while.
That's commitment to an outfit.
Yeah, that's Paul Pogba from Manchester United. I don't know. He's like a skeleton face. I don't know if you saw Odell Beckham.
That's him? Oh, wow.
Yeah, he came in dressed like Michael Jackson.
See, it kind of gets me mad, Fernando. Like, all these players came in dressed up, and I kept pushing the media center at Chargers headquarters to dress up in the press box on Sunday, and nobody wanted to jump in.
I did. I was Indiana Jones.
Oh, come on. You just like that vest.
Hey, that's a good dude. This one was pretty killer.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I like that one.
Myles Garrett. He has every quarterback. Isn't that crazy? Like, let's see. I got a little bit. Oh, did you see Josh Allen's?
Yeah, dressed up as Phil Mickelson.
He was Phil Mickelson. Oh God, why did it take me somewhere else? Well, whatever. That's not the one I want. Phil Mickelson. Mike Davis was Squid Games.
Wow. That's actually not a good battle. I like it.
Let's see. Oh, the Chargers obviously had Iron Man. I don't know what Michael Davis is supposed to be. Lilo and Stitch. You know who had a good one? Steven Anderson. Wasn't he Good Burger?
Oh yeah, he was. That was him.
That's a good list. Gilbert, so who are you giving the nod to?
I kind of want to go. We said it was Mike Davis with the Squid Game
Yeah.
because I really like that show, but I feel like that's kind of trendy. I'll go with creativity, kind of out of nowhere. I like the Myles Garrett one. That one was kind of scary, freaky. The whole get up there was pretty cool. And he had the names on the back of the quarterbacks he sacked. Overall, creative, not predictable, a little intimidating. He has it all.
Love it. Love that you were able to put your judge's hat on. LeBron's was interesting, but we all know he has hair and makeup. Like it's a
Yeah.
it's a
He
great
did a good
comp.
job though. I'll give him
I
credit.
loved it. No, it's a great one, but it's he gets it. But Gilbert, thank you so much for muscling up and being able to at least join me for una más in the beginning of the show. But for the time being, Gilbert, you know what? You need to go rest that back. It's time. Vámonos.
Yeah, time to lay down again and get better for Philly. And because that plane is waiting for me, you're waiting for me on the way home as well, Fernando. So ya nos vamos, pues vámonos.